Fellow Toastmasters and honored guests, some people can say my mother is my mentor. Not me. As I approached adulthood, one of my goals was not to be like my mother. I wanted to have healthy relationships with other people, confidence to make decisions for myself, to hold down a job, and to have some fun in life. And my mother couldn't help with any of that. So I started looking, unconsciously at first, and then consciously, for someone who could. There are several people who have filled that role in my life over the years, but one who had a particular impact was Barb Loach during the 2 years I spent at Cedarville College. In times of structured teaching, informal conversations, and by her example, she helped me grow as a person as well as a Spanish student. I transferred into Cedarville College, today Cedarville University, as a junior, and I jumped feet first into Spanish 101. I took to it like a duck to water, and by December, Miss Loach guessed that I had the ability, and perhaps the ambition, to learn Spanish at a much more accelerated pace. She offered me the opportunity to do an independent study with her during winter quarter, by which I could combine 2 years of Spanish into one. I jumped at the chance. We started meeting weekly so that she could monitor my progress, and along with talking about Spanish vocabulary and grammar and culture, we started getting to know each other. I was assiduous in learning all that there was to learn in these lessons. And by spring, I had caught up with the second-year students, and I was enrolled in Spanish 203. But I still found excuses to stop by Miss Loach's office just to chat about things that concerned me, and sometimes things that concerned her about me. One memorable conversation was when she had overheard a practice Spanish conversation I was having with a classmate, where I had pointed out the other students' errors in Spanish grammar. And she told me not to do that because it made my classmates uncomfortable and they wouldn't want me for a conversation partner. In part, I guess I was showing off how much I knew. I had not only caught up to them, I had surpassed them. But mostly, I said it without thinking. And as I reflected on that, I realized that was a big part of the problem. I was not in the habit of thinking about other people's feelings or needs. I was used to being focused on me and what I wanted to accomplish. And I was ashamed of being that kind of person, but grateful that Miss Loach had said something so that I could change. We talked about spiritual growth and living out our faith. Cedarville is a Baptist school. Its motto is "For the Word of God and the Testimony of Jesus Christ." And unlike some religious schools where that's just a part of its history, at Cedarville to this day, that is at the center of life and learning. I had a lot more opportunities to learn from Miss Loach that summer. I went on a study abroad program to Spain, and she went on the same program as a chaperone of sorts for the female students. As things worked out, Barb, which is what she had invited me to call her by then, Barb and I were roommates for the summer. We spent a lot of time together, walking to the university, sightseeing, walking to church, going grocery shopping, cleaning the apartment, and just sitting around talking. Barb talked about being a giver rather than a taker, looking for what I could do for somebody else instead of what that person could do for me. And I saw her model this in her life. It seemed like she was always being helpful and encouraging, even when I knew she was tired or didn't feel well. I wanted to be that kind of person, like her. But that summer, it seemed that I was mostly a moody teenage girl. I was 19 at this point, so technically still a teenager. I asked Barb one time how she was able to put up with me. And she said that she focused on my potential, not the person I was then, but the person I would become. And I wondered how she had the confidence to say the person I would become instead of just the person I could become. But it gave me hope that she put it that way. I stayed in Spain for the fall, so by the time I got back to Cedarville in January of my senior year, I had just about finished my Spanish major. I had no more classes with Barb, but she invited me to come to her apartment on a weekly basis so we could study the Bible together. We talked about knowing God, trusting God, and serving God. And when I graduated in June, it was very hard to say goodbye. That summer, I applied for a job as a French and Spanish teacher, and the headmaster asked me if there was somebody that I thought was a mentor. Now, in the early 1980s, people didn't use that word a whole lot, but once he explained what he was asking, I started telling him about my relationship with Barb Loach. I never did become a Spanish professor like her, which had been my goal. But I think her goal for me was to use my gifts, academic and otherwise, that God has given me to serve Him and to live out my faith on a daily basis. To the extent that I do that, I think it is in part due to the influence of Barb Loach, my teacher, mentor, and friend. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator, and good evening again, fellow Toastmasters and Barb. And especially Pauline. Pauline, I always enjoy listening to you give a speech. One of the things that I was supposed to comment on was the clarity of your speaking. I think you do a tremendous job with your vocabulary, your enunciation, your pronunciation. You always make your speeches clear and easy to understand. There's never any problem for me in hearing your words and understanding them. So kudos to you on that part of your presentation. Your vocal variety also is excellent. You do a very good job of pacing. You change your volume, and you use emphasis on certain phrases or words to bring out a certain point in your speech. Also, as was mentioned before, your gestures are good, and you did move from side to side so that everybody could have a chance to see your gestures as you were making your presentation. That would be one point where I would give you a suggestion for improving your presentation, because I was sitting here, and as you move from side to side, occasionally I felt you made the change too rapidly, and it was a little distracting to me. So, pace your pacing. I'm also supposed to suggest a challenge to you. Well, we are supposed to use a scale of 1 to 5 in grading various aspects of your speech presentation. I gave you a 4 on your eye contact because I was writing down remarks and maybe I didn't catch all of your eye contact, but occasionally it felt to me that perhaps you were favoring one side of the room or the other. So as a challenge, bring your eye contact score up to a 5 instead of a 4. And that would be just about the only challenge I can issue, because this presentation was excellent. And for a speech that was supposed to share personal highlights from your life, I myself found it very engaging and a very personal story. It really gave us an insight into the development of you as a person. And I thank you and appreciate you sharing that story with us. Mr. General Advisor.